I was always that one mate that trained in the gym 4 to 5 times a week, every single week, took the latest supplements, bought all the gym gear, thought I knew what I was doing, but I really fucking didn't. I had friends that didn't even go to the gym at the time that looked better than me, and I can't lie, it got me rattled. Evidently, there was something wrong, and after 4 years of trial and error in the gym, I've finally been through the phases of physique development that make you actually look like you go to the gym. I've coached over 25 guys through this process I'm going to tell you. So if you feel like you're just not having any results showing up and you're getting frustrated because technically what you should be doing on paper should be working, watch till the end of this video. Step 1 is the initial fat loss phase. Now for most guys, this is the hardest one because they have the worst starting point at the worst possible position of their body composition. They're usually holding too much body fat, not enough muscle, and it's just going to be the hardest process for them to get past. But if done correctly, this is arguably the most important phase you will go through out of these 4 phases in physique development. This is where you strip all your body fat off into a good lean body composition ready to grow, as you'll be more responsive to food and you're going to stay leaner for longer, meaning you're more insulin sensitive and you're actually going to use the food that you're eating. From what I see, guys usually underestimate the amount of body fat they actually have to lose in this process. I would estimate anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks to lose that body fat, and usually from what I see as a coach, it's usually around the 10 kilo mark. That's to get lean, have visible abs, and be primed and ready to grow in your gaining phase. This phase will have to be the most aggressive you will have to go. So yes, you will have to eat less calories. Yes, you will probably have to do more cardio than you like to, but if done correctly, you will set your gaining phase up absolutely perfectly. Step number 2 then is the reverse diet. And this is where most guys fuck up because they enter the constant loop of trying to re-diet once they've absolutely fucked it at the end of their initial fat loss phase. They treat the end of a diet like a finish line, so they go balls to the walls with food, takeaways, alcohol, they stop training just because they've achieved that level of leanness. But let me tell you, it's not gonna stay like that for much longer. But in reality, it's just the start. This phase is to make sure you're not gaining too quickly or gaining too slowly. It's going to allow you to keep your body composition at a really good point so you're lean, responsive, and ready to grow when it comes to increasing food in the gaining phase. A lot of people think they can just eat whatever they want because they've got the amount of food to do so. However, this is arguably the most important part of the reverse diet. All you're doing is just increasing the amount of food compared to what you had in your diet. Usually the excess amount of calories will be contributed to carbohydrates, so you have a lot more energy in your system and you can push that little bit harder in the gym. It's also going to make your physique look a lot more full because your muscles are getting replenished with glycogen. This phase is always my favourite because you're at the leanest point you'd ever be. You probably look better than what you did at the end of the diet, and your training performance is going to skyrocket. You're going to have that little bit more energy that are going to allow you to push numbers in the gym again. Step number 3 is the gaining phase. This is where the fun starts. More food, better training performance, but to be honest, this is the part where most lads think they know what they're doing, but then just end up fat again. A bulk isn't an excuse to just eat whatever you want because you have the food to do so. It's exactly the same setup as a diet, as the reverse phase, as the gaining phase. You keep the same level of food quality and food choices, just increasing the amounts that you're having. And yeah, over time you will have to make swaps here and there, so like potatoes for pasta if you're getting to that upper end of calories, but usually you can stick to the same food choices and still make a hell of a lot of progress. The whole point of a gaining phase is so you can train harder and have better training performance in the gym, which is ultimately going to break down more muscle tissue, recruit more muscle fibers, which is going to grow you a lot more muscle compared to when you were in a diet. A lot of people go through gaining phases and gain excess body fat, so here's what I would do to avoid that and still stay responsive and lean. First things first, I would take progress photos once a week. The visuals aren't going to lie to you. If you feel like you're gaining too quickly, keep the amount of food that you're eating the same. If you don't feel like the visuals are changing a whole lot more, then increase your food to a point where you're still eating the same food choices, just more of them. Next thing I'd look at is the scales. You want to be roughly aiming around 0.4 to 0.6 kg per week. This is a good ballpark range to follow as it's going to allow you to not gain too much excess body fat and make sure you are growing muscle in the process. If you keep those two in throughout your whole gaining phase and everything is going to plan, you're almost guaranteed to have grown some good quality muscle tissue. Which leads me on to step 4, which is the extended fat loss phase. This is where you reveal the muscle tissue that you've built in your gaining phase, which in my opinion is the most funnest thing. It allows you to see all of the progress that you've just put in the past 4, 5, 6 months. And this is the part where you get rewarded for it. For me, I'm going through this phase right now in prep for my photo shoot in November. So I'm starting my diet now, so I've got a lot more time and a lot more flexibility to play with. I haven't needed to go as aggressive as I did in the first diet because my set point of food is a lot higher. So my food won't have to go nearly as low. This phase should last anywhere from around 10 to 16 weeks, depending on what look you're going for. Mine's around 16 weeks because I want to get fucking peeled out my mind. But for some people, you may not want that. You may just want to look lean, have visible abs, so you can go around the 10 to 12 week mark. You may want to diet for a holiday, for summer, or just feel a lot more shredded in your physique. Of course, there are still going to be elements of hunger in there because you're still in a calorie deficit during this phase, but it's going to be a lot more sustainable as you aren't going to have as low food as last time and as higher cardio as last time too. In my initial fat loss phase, I started my diet at 2,000 calories. Now my extended fat loss phase, while going through all of the phases that I've just spoke about, I've started at 2.6k calories. That is a representation of the muscle that I've gained because when you have more muscle, your maintenance calories are a lot higher. Even now, I'm so much leaner than what I was last time at this body weight, which is another visual representation of the fact that I've grown good quality muscle tissue. These are the 4 stages of physique development if you really want to look like you train and actually give a shit about your physique. Thank you for watching this video. Take these phases with a pinch of salt because none of them are easy. I've been through them myself and they've been the most challenging things I've done ever in my life. But if you can see them through, they will pay back so much in terms of your standards of life, in terms of your training, in terms of your nutrition, in terms of your general health and fitness. If you would like to work with myself, I have one-to-one coaching spaces available, so click the link to the Instagram, message me the word coach and I will get back to you with some more information. But for now, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.